NWF fans, it is the brand new co-host of NWF Forward, the Canary Kid here. I don't know if you guys have it marked in your calendars just yet, but I'll remind you just to make sure you do. Next week, the hourglass is running right to the bottom. The Canary Kid will officially debut as the new co-host, and it'll make sure that it's the greatest episode of NWF Forward. Because you want to know why? Not just because Canary Kid's on the show, all right? Because the champ is on the show. You actually have a champion of a co-host for once. So, book your days off work. Tell your families you're not going to see them for a couple hours, and you come and watch NWF Forward next week. Be there or be square.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Thursday night. I am Dixie Dave, my co-host Crossen, and we are live, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. We're live with another NWF Rewind. This is going full circle now. We're heading back to the beginning and, just chatting with the guys, Dave. I know they love the early stuff. Even though we look at it like, gosh, we didn't know what we were doing. We weren't, polished. We certainly we didn't have a ring that was official, right?
Right.
But for them, what they'd love to see is knowing where we got to, they love seeing how we started. That's what it's all about.
I apologize to everybody. I wasn't a part of the chat. But to me, what it seems like is they love seeing the initial heart and passion that we had.
Yeah.
From day one.
Right. And it's like the guys tell me in my indie friends in Northern Ireland and others, we share the same passion. Whether it was us 40 years ago or them today, that passion we have for the business and wrestling and everything, it's one of the same.
Exactly. I mean, I hate to quote something from our sister show, but Hernandez put it best. We all had that passion. We all have the passion. And that's what drives the business.
Yep. And just to get a couple comments in here, since we're talking about that, Crusher, I know you don't like the early shows, but it's fun comparing 12 to 14-year-old you to Canary Kid. And Officer Smiles, I bet, would also love to see you wrestling when you were more their age. Yep. And of course, Officer Smiles is, he's technique-wise is miles above us. But we didn't have Sean Hernandez training us. Big difference there.
If I may say, what a great interview that was.
Oh, it was. That was a lot of fun.
With both Officer Smalls and Hernandez, it was a blast.
Yep, it sure was. And we'll talk more about that too as we get into the watch line. These old videos are like watching the opening season of a show you have watched and really liked for many years. Thank you, Damien. That's a very good compliment. And
thank you very much.
Sky Sports Video News echoes and says, I agree. I love watching the quality of the video work and the improvements you have made over the years. The NWF was on the air. I think he's referring to the upscaling and cleaning it up and everything. So,
well, not just that, but how we progressed as a company.
Yeah. And then let's see here. And I noticed, yes. Hello, King Coop. It's great to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. That looks like another new picture again, man. You're getting big. Look at how big this guy is. If that is King Coop, you can tell he's spent time in the gym.
Yeah.
And it's great to see him. By the way, thanks, King Coop, for subscribing to our memberships. I see you became a member. That's want to make a shout out there for that. And also, King Coop joined the Number One Contenders Club. That's our base membership. It's like $2.99 a month, and it just gives you cool emojis you can do, and you get 10% off in anything on our store. So little perks there. And then Tiki Tiki, shout out to Tiki Tiki because he became our first member in our championship club, which the championship club gets everything that you get in the number one contenders, but they also get 20% off and they get access to the video network videos on YouTube.
Exactly.
And for those of you who are already joined the video network, don't think you're missing much here because you're getting the same quality videos, whether it's on YouTube or there, and it's the same $9.99 a month, whether it's on YouTube or Vimeo. The only advantage with Vimeo is if you do a year subscription, you can really save. Like you can, it'll knock it down to like $6 and some $6.67, I think. So, and then King Coop says, sorry, I have been active. I haven't been as active as much, y'all. Life gets in the way and sometimes, but I've been tuning in whenever I can. I understand. Coop, it's life. Life takes priority,
it's like Crusher and I talked about. I got a lot going on in life right now, but I'm here with you guys.
Yeah.
Little sunshine in my day.
Yep. In the comments, just trying to keep up with them all. And yeah, I say so. That is King Coop, and he says he spends a lot. I'm going to bring that comment in. He says he spends a lot of time in the gym. So yeah, obviously, yeah. So I wouldn't want to meet up with King Coop. I don't think by the looks of this.
Well, not when you're on his bad side. I mean,
right. Well, that's what I mean. Like in the ring, and he'd be somebody to contend with. But we got a great show today now. But as you've seen in the intro, guys, Canary Kid is next week. He makes his debut, and he's super excited. Ricky and I were in the studio last week and cut a promo for next week. You'll see that video show up on YouTube. First time us together talking about the show. And for those of you who are wondering what we're talking about here, I'm just going to put a little graphic up, Dave, quick. This is what we're talking about next week. September 26th, new time. Notice the time, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. And that is for Ricky's benefit because it would be 10 p.m. his time in Europe, in Northern Ireland and UK. Yep. So I can't go the regular time because it's he's got to go to school the next day. So we got to kind of work it with him. So hopefully you guys can still make it at that time. I'm hoping everybody tunes in. He's super excited to come on. And of course, we're going to kind of lay out what we're going to do going forward on NWF Forward. Ricky wants to, we're going to bring in a little more entertainment. We're going to slide in and out of character, both of us. And this is Ricky's suggestion, make it a little more fun. And then also we need a theme. And our theme for next week, guys, you're going to love this one because you've all been chattering about this. It's the What If Deep Dive. What if Crusher Crossen from 1986 faced off with the Canary Kid present day? That's going to be our theme. We're going to show a match. I'm going to show you guys a match from me when I was exactly his age that you have not all seen yet. When I got that world title for the 5th time in Brooklyn Park, we're going to show that match for me, and he's going to pick his last match he had, and we're just going to have fun with this. So expect to see some in-character talk, expect to see some serious talk, a little bit of everything on NWF Forward next week. Hope you guys like that show.
And if I remember, Crusher, that was the match where you broke your fingers.
It sure was. I talked about that my middle finger. I think it was the middle finger. I cannot remember.
My middle finger. You had
the
those
split.
2 fingers taped together.
Well, I think it was in a split. Yeah, and it was either my ring finger or my middle finger. But yeah, and you'll see exactly when that happened because you'll see me just holding my hand. I was in pain, guys. When you break your finger, it starts swelling up and stuff. It hurts. It hurts immensely. And I broke it in 3 places. I found out that when I got x-rays the next day. So it hurt, but we didn't stop the match. We kept going. So that'll be a fun one.
You didn't pull a Sin Cara.
And no. I just, it was too big of a moment. It would have to be, breaking the finger's bad enough. I'd have to probably break an arm or a leg to stop a match with me. And I think you too, Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah, we loved it too much,
Oh, definitely. I mean, you look back at that match with Pretty Boy and I from Brooklyn Park, same night you broke your finger, and you see how some of those shots are coming in at me. I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction of...
That was the same card, actually.
Yeah.
That we're talking about here. But yeah, that'll be a fun episode. I think that theme will be fun. I think you guys will love chat. You know, I'm hoping you guys can all make it because it's a little earlier, but I'm thinking you would love to chime in on that and, you know, get under Ricky's, maybe some of you are going to want to get under Ricky's skin a little bit. He by the way, he loves that. He loves that. So don't worry if you think you're going to get on his bad side, because that's what he wants. That's what he wants, ladies and gentlemen. So,
you know, I will say this much, Crusher.
Yeah.
It will be nice to see Forward have some class on it without me having to be there.
I guess I got two heels I'm dealing with. Another thing too, we got a really good guest coming up on Forward too. I haven't even mentioned it yet. Mitch the Kid, Full Tilt Wrestling out of England. Very similar to Ricky Henry as far as how he started, what he's doing, where he's at. It's almost like a mirror. So it's going to be really cool to have him come on with Ricky. Obviously, that'll be a Forward show, and have them guys maybe do some networking and talk about what they're doing. As, of course, I'll be there too and showcasing this young man. But Mitch the Kid, he's quite. I've been watching him for a while, Dave. He's one of these guys that I stumbled across, I don't know, about a year ago, maybe more. And
Okay.
he's pretty good. Ricky thought that he reminded him a lot of Bret Hart style, because I showed Ricky, you know, who we're going to have, you know.
Yep.
So give you an idea, but he's you know, a young man just like Ricky, and it'll be a good show. So I'm looking forward to that. That's coming up. That's in the future. Right now, we got a rewind to do here, Dave. We got to go back in time to Group W Cable, 1984, November 16th. That's the date.
Exactly.
And it was our studio taping 26. So let's get this started up, and then we'll keep talking away here as we usually always do. Get the show going here. Here we go. Fun fact on this one, Dave. Studio taping 26. The show before this was studio taping 25, or 25th anniversary show. Yep. And we don't have that one anymore because the cable company reported over it in error. I was so bummed out I couldn't edit it. I went to go edit it and it was taped over.
Oh.
But on that show, Studio Taping 25, was the debut of Fabulous One, Brian Peterson. He's a real favorite of everybody. They all like Brian. So he debuted the show before this, and Kid USA Kelsey makes his debut the show after this. So that's how early we are here.
Yeah, because when I joined Kelsey was like one of the long-standing people.
Oh, yeah. You know, and this, of course, we changed the music around, as you know, and for those of you who have joined the Video Network or are subscribed as a championship member, you know that you're seeing the quality in true 1080p. When you see it on our rewind, you're seeing about half that resolution. Like about, I want to say it's about 760p. So we have to cut it down to make it fit on the streaming software we use. We can't stream a big file like that for that long a time. That's why.
Right.
Welcome to the TWA, the Major League of Kids.
But you're still seeing it cleaned up. That's, of course, Rob Jacob right there is the original Ray Johnson.
Him wrestling a great bout, and Sean Crusher, Crossen, Jackknife, Jacob, Merciless, Mike Ackman. But first, we're going to get to the interview area.
King Coop says it's always great seeing these throwback episodes. Yeah, I agree.
Thank you. Welcome to the Kids.
I cringe at our wrestling abilities, but I love the memories.
Merciless, Mike
Makes
Ackerman.
sense?
Merciless, what do you got to tell the folks out?
Okay, I just like to say, as you know, that me and the Crusher.
That was kind of a transition. We were doing this kind of transitioning to like interviews right before every show. It was kind of a new feature we did. You know, like let's open the show, let's go to an immediate interview, sit down kind of style, and then go to the first match. Kind of just a little.
I just like to say that,
you know, kind of way I was trying to make the show a little more interesting.
Right.
Boy, I don't know, Jackknife Jacob, but if I was you, I'd be shaking in my
yeah,
boots.
and like King Coop says, you know, y'all were having fun, and that's what matters. Although the stage platform had to have been painful. Yeah, not as kids, though. You're right, King. It would be painful today as adults, but, you know, when you're a kid, think about when you're a kid. Take a lot of punishment as a kid, right?
Oh, yeah.
This is scrolling text that we did. This was actually typed up by Rob Jacob. He typed all this up. This is his wording. And just kind of prepping everybody for the show, you know. I redid it for the, you know, so it looked nice. You know, since we're redoing all this stuff, I redid that, but that's exactly what it looked like when it rolled. Same fonts and everything.
Yep.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to
The only thing you do is make it look a little bit better.
Yep, like in instance like this shot right here, I color grade everything. I fix skin tones. The reason it went dark is because that's nothing I can control here. That's in the way it was recorded. They didn't overlay the text correctly, so they faded it in instead of putting it in as a chroma key effect. That's just an error on us in the control room is all. Normally don't bring text in as a fade like this.
I'm getting the pain.
Oh yeah, Sports Videos referring to that interview with Mike. How the kids refer to me as Crusher. Yeah, that's what they called me. We all kind of had our nicknames in real life. So everybody referred to me as Crusher back in the day, and still do to this day. It's a nickname that never really left me. Same with Ace.
Yeah.
Remember when we had Ace on? They still say he's still called Ace to this day.
Yep.
Yeah, his names kind of stick with you. So this will get better once this text gets off the screen. It'll brighten up again. There's that famous half shirt, guys, that you say I'd be cool to find. I don't think I have it anymore, though. I've been looking all over for it.
Let's get the match started.
Okay, folks, the bell will ring in a second.
Yeah, this is my early look. Camouflage pants and the half shirt. Sometimes I go to parachute pants as well, but that was kind of the early Crusher look before I got the singlet and the black tights or black sweats.
Yep.
Killer Campa, man, what a character. He was very fun to have matches with in these days. I really enjoyed Campa in the ring. I mean,
He'd be a fun one to bring on.
He would be. And, you know, granted, we don't know what the hell we're doing here, but we're trying. We're having fun. We're developing our characters. We're, you know, just, it's the early formation of the league, right? Remind everybody that. Like, if you guys are thinking you're going to see textbook, you know, quality professional wrestling, not today, folks. This is the early stages of the league.
This is while we were still in our infancy.
Yep. Yeah, it was development years. And,
It looks like
as long as everybody understands, I'm cool with it, right? I just don't want to have somebody, I just don't want to mislead somebody and they come and they just watch like the Dry Dock episode last show and they say, what happened? And I just don't want people to get confused. You know?
You know, to be honest, Crusher, I think
boy, I tell you, it's a consensus.
some of the people that try to avoid us, I think that this is kind of, they're worried about this style of wrestling.
Yeah. You know, like, as an example, the voice of Minnesota wrestling, a very famous person here, has yet to this day not talked about us since the PWA days. And
Exactly.
for whatever reason, like they're afraid they're going to tarnish their own reputation or something. I don't know, right?
Exactly. And, you know, to be honest, you know, when it comes to the voice of Minnesota wrestling, it might not only be that he's worried about his reputation. But to be honest, as I remember, when he was a youngster, he tried to start up a league like this.
He did. Didn't work
And
too
it
well.
failed miserably.
And he got kind of criticized for it from the I don't want to say the powers that be, but from the idols of his.
Yep.
And that same idol I happened to run into at a wrestling fan fest and gave him a copy of my book and everything, and he said he remembered us back in the day. You know, I'm talking about Nick Bockwinkel. He said he remembers conversations in the office, which I was, you know, I was just, of course, you hear stuff like that. You know, we're just in the elevator. I don't want to bother him. He's going up to his room and everything, but it was just cool to hear, right?
Yep.
Turn off the lights.
Yeah.
The party's over.
Obviously heard you right there.
And
You know,
very nice guy, by the way, Nick Bockwinkel. Super nice.
but what I'm thinking is maybe the voice of Minnesota wrestling is jealous at what a success we were compared to what he was able to do.
Well, you know, maybe, but you know what I think it really is, Dave? I think it's just because, remember when I wrote my book and DVD?
One of my favorite moves.
And when I put that out, what, 20-some years ago now?
Yeah.
And a lot of people were introduced to what we did for the first time and didn't know what they were reading. And they assumed that this was current stuff and that I'm an adult promoting kids wrestling. And I was getting labeled like pedophile and all this nasty stuff. But they didn't realize that it was me as a kid. You know, they didn't get that. They didn't. Now everybody, our viewers and everything, they all get it now, but they didn't get it back then. And so all the back then it was what do you call it? What do they call it? Like posting boards, community boards.
Oh yeah.
What the hell they call that? Anyways, that's where all the chatter was back in these days. And I'd have to go into all these forums. Forums is the word I'm looking for. And I'd have to defend ourselves and explain ourselves. And I had to do a lot of that. But as I'm doing all this, I think that got to people like the voice of Minnesota wrestling. And they didn't want to associate themselves with us because they were afraid they would get criticized. You know?
Right.
So we're just telling you guys all this because... You know, we're to the point now, Dave and I were talking about this morning, we don't really care anymore. We're having fun with our new audience, the people that understand and what they're watching, like seeing this whole thing, and we don't really care anymore about if people in our state where we were from acknowledge us or not, you know?
Exactly. It's like I said to you. You know, back in the day when the NWF was going on, we were a Minnesota-based company operating solely completely in the state of Minnesota. We'd ship videotapes to other states. But you know what? We've taken the NWF from being a little local Minnesota company. Now we are worldwide.
Yeah. And you know something? Not only that, Dave, but when I talk to folks, when I talk to the other these kids like Ricky and John and Bodie and Smalls and the rest of them, they realize what we are and what we were back in the day, but they understand that we have the same passion they have. They completely understand. And they don't look at us. I've heard from all these guys, Dave, they do not look at us like a backyard fed. They look at us like people who were just passionate like they are, but didn't have the right avenue at the time, and we had to create our own avenue. And they understand that. They get it. So that's the cool thing. The new age gets it. It's that old school voice of Minnesota wrestling age that sometimes struggles with it, right?
You know, you got to kind of swallow that a little bit, though, Crusher. Because if you remember when you were doing your conventions,
yeah.
And sorry, folks, I'm going to do a little name dropping here. You know, Crusher's already thrown out Nick Bockwinkel's name.
Yeah.
But, you know, we were accepted by Nick Bockwinkel. We were accepted by Abdullah the Butcher.
His booth was
King
right
Kong
next to
Bundy.
Just let me give you a tidbit there. Abdullah the Butcher's booth was right next to ours. And Abdullah and I started talking, and Charlie, we just started talking to each other in between people coming through and everything. And we got to know each other. And he liked us. And he let us get free pictures. Other wrestlers came up to get pictures with him, and he charged them $10 if they wanted a picture. We got free pictures.
Yep.
So I always think, you know, that's how come Abdullah liked us. You know? I want to get some comments in here. King Coop says, the people in the message boards and chatter boards back in the day seemed like they had no chill. I mean, some people always have something to say, yeah, and that's just it. Everybody has an opinion. You get trolls and everything else. So it's like, whatever. I started defending ourselves, and then I got to the point where I'm like, what? Just then there comes the old child psychology. Ignore it, ignore it, ignore it. You just ignore it, and then eventually it goes away, and it did. People don't talk like that anymore, but they did at the time. So they didn't know what they were seeing. Damien says, Crusher, even at this early stage, I can see you selling moves for your partner. I do my best. I mean, even though I'm not, I'm not that great myself at this point, but I try. I guess I try it. I mean, that was, it didn't hurt, but I made it sound like it did.
Well, that's the point of actual professional wrestling.
Charlie and I, so this all, the reason I sell like I do is because Charlie and I, before the wrestling show, we used to stage fights. So it was like professional wrestling, only it was like a fight in public. We would get everybody convinced that we were in a fight. We'd go to where nobody knew us, and we'd stage fights. So that's where I initially learned how to sell, really, was doing staged fights. I think I wrote about that in my book. And then Sky Sports Video News, and I'll be caught up here, I think. You had a TV show. You were big time back then. That would have never happened today. Yeah, you're right, Sky Sports. That's the other thing, people forget today. Remember the time period here, 1984. There was nothing like this. Nothing. Nothing. Not even close.
I mean,
a cable show?
We're exposing now that there are all kinds of companies like what we did.
I mean, granted, there might have been kids kind of doing this in their backyard or in the basement or having fun, but nobody was producing a television show with what looked like a wrestling ring, growing it every week for now about a year now at this point. This is our first year.
Yep.
So there was just nothing like this. So for every kid that's seen this, they wanted to be a part of it if they were a wrestling fan, because it was cool. It was fun. As a kid, you were, granted it wasn't a working ring, but you didn't care. You were being able to be, to emulate that you're in professional wrestling as a kid, and that's what every kid wanted.
Exactly.
I mean, that we're on our show.
Jackknife Jacob is a terror of the TWA,
for sure.
One of the most hated managers and wrestlers, and here he comes entering the studio now.
Rich Taylor was a great addition. This was the debut of Rich Taylor, our announcer there.
Okay.
Yep. He was so good. He just got busy with school and everything and couldn't keep doing it with us after about, 6 months. So he's kind of short-lived, but. And Rob Jacob, I can't talk enough about how good he was as a heel. Natural.
Exactly.
A natural.
I think the show would be fun bringing him on and bring the Canary Kid in.
Oh, I'd love to talk to Jacob again. I haven't seen him since back then, back in the day. Same with Campa. Would love to have Campa come on with us one of these times. Todd and I had so many matches, and they were always entertaining. Me and Killer Campa.
But it's gonna be domination once I get my.
It's fun to wrestle him. We both enjoyed the match, even though we were still learning the ropes, so to speak.
I got one warning to you, bud. Be fair. Okay, and his opponent, one half of the tag team.
I'll tell you something. At this time, me, Rob Jacob, Todd Campa, Mike Ackerman, we were thick as thieves in these days. We did everything off the show. Always hung out.
As I said in the interviews, me and the
Crusher, I do have to step away for just a second. I'll be right back.
Sure.
Victory over the Jackknife side. And next show we will have a Family Feud match.
There he mentioned it, the Family Feud match. That's the Survivor Series style tag team match. We were 4 years before Vince on that.
Team partner Ackerman. Sorry, I had a little delay.
Yep.
The crowd was delaying, I should say.
The Family Feud match. That was basically a 10-man tag team elimination match, and we didn't call it Survivor Series because we didn't know that that was Vince's thing years later. But we called it a Family Feud match because I thought the Family Feud show, that you got this side and that side, and that's kind of how I came up with that name, the Family Feud match. See Wayne in the house. Good to see you, Wayne. This is early stuff, of course. I don't know if you got into all of what we were talking about. I don't know how early you got on the show here, but yeah, this is like our early stuff. This isn't textbook pro wrestling by any means, so I don't want to fool anybody. This is the beginnings. Did a lot of kids from school want to join the NWF after seeing the show on cable? Yeah, they did. That's how most of our recruiting was in these early days. It was, you know, first of all, there's two things. A, they were a wrestling fan. They liked pro wrestling. And then they became friends with us in school. They definitely wanted on the show. And that's, most of our recruiting was done that way in the beginning. For sure.
Yep. And friends of friends.
And friends of friends, yep. Eventually the hotline would get us wrestlers too. We'd do a lot of that later on, like the next year. We had that hotline running. But in these days, it was, you know, friends of friends that would come in, you know. Now, some kids were embarrassed. There was that too. They were embarrassed to come on the show. They're afraid people were going to laugh and make fun of them. I mean, we got to be realistic, guys.
Yep.
There was definitely that factor. So some of the kids were maybe wanted to come on, but were too embarrassed to do it because they're afraid they would get ridiculed at school and laughed at. You know, I think there was some of that in these days. I don't think we got a lot of that when we started doing like the armory events and stuff. You know, 86. I think that kind of went away.
Yep.
But these days, I think there was some of that for sure.
Well, I will say, after I left the NWF, I did have one instance of harassment from somebody who was involved in Golden Gloves boxing.
Yeah. The only person I ever dealt with Golden Gloves with John Hoffman, he was a nice guy. You know, but you know, it doesn't, just because they're in boxing is irrelevant. It's just you get, for lack of a better word, assholes. No matter what sport or thing they're doing, you're gonna have those kind of kids and everything, right? And you just happen to deal with one of them. Yeah. No, Wayne. What we were saying is this is just the early. We're going back to Group W cable now on this watch line, so it's an early show, and I just wanted to kind of put that disclaimer out there. You know, we just went from the dry dock, and now we're going to this. So now this is how we started out. So, you know, I don't want anybody to be expecting perfection here because you're not going to see it. You know, but I will say this. Keep this in mind, everybody. What you're watching here was November 16th, 1984. That's right. In less than 18 months, we would promote our first Anoka Armory event from this show. So think about that.
Show that brought you the greatness that is Dixie Dave.
Well, I mean, just look at all the advancement we had to do to get to that point. So there's goes to show you how fast we grew from this point. Let's see, Wayne's got a question. Let's bring it in. Did that happen to you, being laughed at school? Not really. Most of my friends didn't laugh. Sometimes they would laugh at what we did. I can remember my friend Eric Messer saying, you know, he watched a show or whatever, and we did something, you know, kind of silly or whatever, and he would point it out, saying, "I've seen that. I thought that was hilarious." You know, that kind of thing. He'd laugh with us, kind of, but nobody really laughed at me. I didn't get that really. What I got more than the laughing is I'd get people saying, "I think you're that show's stupid." And then you start talking. These are people I really don't know, but are just maybe acquaintances. And then you find that they think professional wrestling's stupid. So you kind of realize they weren't wrestling fans to begin with, and so of course they're going to throw you in that bucket. And you know, I would get more of that some people thought it was silly what we were doing.
Yeah.
But they didn't. I don't remember anybody ever laughing at me. Do you, Dave?
No.
No.
Well, I mean,
not in my face. Maybe behind my back, but certainly not at my face. You know, people had a little bit more class back then.
Say something in regards to our forward show that we did last week.
Yeah.
You know, the thing to me that was nice is, okay, Sean Hernandez has traveled all over the world wrestling. And
boy, I tell you,
he realized that we weren't trained with capital T or professional with capital T.
Well, we don't know, you know.
But he recognized the heart, the drive, the determination, and he treated us as equals to himself.
Exactly. I mean, you know, people, like I said, people in the indie circuit, they get it. They certainly understand what we're doing. I haven't found anybody in the indie circuit yet that said, "Oh, I don't want to be associated with you guys." I haven't got any of that. So I would say, you know, they certainly understand. Passion didn't change. Passion that they have today is the same passion we had on this very show right here. The passion part of it doesn't change. Let's see. Sports Video's got a good question here. He says, Crusher, did the show elevate or lower your standing in your school? If you're referring to popularity, it definitely elevated my popularity in the popularity that people knew who I was. People,
Right.
whether they knew me or not, they recognized me. It did that, for sure.
Right.
I know that for a fact because I can remember people. You know when people are staring at you, and it's like, why am I getting stared at? I would get that in the mall all the time when I go to Northtown. Other people, kids and stuff, would kind of like, you get that little chit, you know, the whispering chatter type thing. You know what I'm saying? And they're kind of staring or they're pointing. Little kids aren't afraid. They would definitely point and come up and shake your hand and stuff like that. I get that at the mall, and I get that at Target sometimes. I'm talking about the littler kids. But no, in school, the popularity thing, but didn't make me necessarily more popular because I was such a shy kid in school. I didn't like being there. I wasn't outgoing in school. I just wanted the day to be over so I could get back to either this or other things. I'm the kind of guy in school that watched that clock for 3 o'clock for that bell to ring or whatever time it was when we get out.
Yep.
So it just felt like I was wasting my time in school. And I know I wasn't wasting my time, but it felt like I was at the time. That's one of the reasons I decided to just not finish school. I'll get to that later when I need to. You know, not good advice, though. I wouldn't recommend that to kids today.
You know, it's like I said on Forward last week. These kids that are coming into the business need to think of something they enjoy as a fallback plan, just in case they aren't making the money that they want to make from professional wrestling.
Right.
I got one thing to say to you.
Good point.
Slams first gets 1,500 from the other person. Hey,
Did you hear it?
Listen.
Tampa, 1,500. Like we had 1,500 in those days, right?
From the TWA.
1,500.
Exactly.
Damien's got a question. He says, when was the first time someone asked for your autograph? Well, I remember that. That was the first Armory event. That Superstar Spectacular 86 show, the one Dave attended. And Dave remembers this because he was there. There was a whole flock of kids that came up. It wasn't just one person. I had gosh, it seemed like 7 or 8 kids all wanting autographs right when I got done with my match.
There's not more.
God, I'll never forget it. I didn't expect that. I did not even think that would happen. That was a total shocker what it did for me.
Yep.
And that's when the light bulb went off in my head saying, my gosh, I must have really been setting an impression with these kids over the years. Now, these were little kids. Like, I was 16. These were probably like 7, 8, 9-year-old kids, I would say.
I was probably one of the older ones that came up to you.
Yeah, I think you were one of them in that crowd. I remember you're on the video. But most of those kids were littler kids, as you remember, right?
Now, I accepted this body slam.
And you know, it makes sense.
Well,
think about it. That's a very. I was gonna say, Dave, think about that. That age, though, for those little kids, that's a very impressionable age. So, you know, that makes sense. But I was shocked. I did not, and so because I've never experienced it, I didn't want to leave until everybody got an autograph. You know, I stayed out there and signed every single one of them until everybody had an autograph. It was very.
I made the comment that
I mean, I can't even put it in words. I just. What's that, Dave?
It's surreal.
Surreal, yeah. Yeah, really was. Rich Taylor with the skipper shirt. Gilligan's Island.
Next match scheduled on this fantastic TW.
Rich is the only one that could reach that microphone. The rest of us could never get it.
Weighing in at 95 pounds against
we tried to lower the mic like they did in the AWA.
Merciless,
you know,
Merciless Mike
come down. That's why the mic's up there. We kind of hoisted up over the light. There were bars that had all the lighting units hooked up. We'd kind of wrap it up around those bars.
When I ref, don't worry. I'm always fair like I do wrestle.
Dave, what am I not doing here that always drives me nuts as a referee?
Oh, I already know what you're talking about.
I'll step in here and stop this.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Thankfully, it doesn't look like a dress on me, but still. What's that?
Ah, you gave it away.
I gave it away.
I was just going to say, let's see if the crowd can tell what it was.
Not having that shirt tucked in as a referee.
Yep.
Well, Merciless Mike, he's a big guy.
Don't ask me why. I think I just noticed the ropes were loose, so I decided to start tucking them in. Sky Sports Video News points out, tuck your shirt in. I know. I get on everybody else, and then I don't bother getting on myself for it.
Jackknife tends to be a little bit of a cheat sometimes. As you saw at the end of the match, he brought in the fore and
yeah, I'm tightening up the ropes is what I'm doing.
In all due respect, the man is a top quality wrestler. He was
this is how we had to do it. We had to like pull them from one to the other, and then tie it on the final one. These aren't turnbuckles. These are bungee cords. You know, when we got into the garage with the ring and started making a ring in the garage, we eventually created steel posts and actual turnbuckles and all that stuff.
Yep.
But in these days, it was just kind of this is our way of making it look like a ring. You know?
To the pro, the sport of wrestling, it makes it more fast.
And you can hear Rich and Rob talking about the ropes, how we added the ropes.
I agree with that. And I'd like to say at this time,
before we added these ropes, it was just the stage. We wrestled on the stage with no ropes at all. Did that for many, many shows. I don't have a lot of that because when I finally got this looking like a ring, I was so much more pleased with this look that I didn't really even care to have the other stuff anymore. So I just recorded over all our old stuff.
Twin Cities Wrestling Association.
You don't know how much, Dave knows this, how much I regret that today. I wish I would have saved all of it.
Looks like we're getting a lot more comments coming in, Crusher.
Yeah, let's see what everybody's saying. Crusher, what was your typical wrestling show day like from start to finish, from the time you woke up to the end of the show? Like what you had to do the day of the TV show or the Armor. Okay, well, it depends if we were in school or not, obviously. Most of the tapings we did at Group W Cable or for the show were on Saturdays because of school. So it would always be Saturday mornings we would do our shows. Now we're in Group W Cable, we only have a 3-hour time slot, so we have to get the show in, sometimes 2 shows, in a 3-hour block. So basically, when I wake up, I mean, I get ready, get all my gear and stuff, head down to Group W Cable. Everybody knows to meet at a certain time, and right away, we all hands on deck. We get the ring post set up, we get the cameras balanced. We have to balance the cameras, you have to calibrate them basically, get the 2 shots looking good. And then we get all that done, and then we start recording. And eventually I get a crew to do the production. But right now, in these days, we're all the crew as well. We're the camera operators. We're the director. Halfway through Group W Cable, I started getting an actual production crew, which are other access users. That's how I met Greg Bushman and Scott Dotzler, became my official crew. They're just other access users. I realize that I can then concentrate on running the show if I have a crew doing all this other stuff, you know.
Yep.
So then I do all this, right? We'd watch it. It would be a Saturday. Then when I get home, I knew the guy who ran Master Control at the cable company. His name was Dave Payne. And I would call Dave Payne, say, Dave, do me a favor, go grab tape number whatever and put it on for me. I want to see how it looks. So I'd have him air the show unedited, unadvertised, over cable access on a Saturday afternoon, and I'd watch it. So then I'd kind of get an idea how I'm going to edit it. I did that all the time. And Dave was a good guy. He would do that for me.
Oh, that's for sure.
Yep.
Anytime a
So that's kind of how my day went start to finish, Gizmo. I do that quite a bit. Or if we did an armory event, when I get home, I would watch every single hard edited tape. I would watch the tape. Like if we had 3 cameras recording an armory event, I would watch every single tape and see how it all looks. I'd always watch it immediately after we did it. Till up till 2, 3 in the morning sometimes doing that.
Oh, now he is.
It appears to be a form of deathlock.
Let's see. King Coop says, that's a good question though, Gizmo. You know, you guys always come up with good questions, I gotta say. King Coop says those bungee cord ropes do look like decent ring ropes, especially back then. Yeah, but you couldn't really climb and go off them. That was the problem. We couldn't go off the top rope, even the second rope. We tried. And you couldn't really hit them. Like you have to pretend you're hitting them, kind of. The biggest thing is it made it look like a ring. That was the most coolest effect that this had, really, is it looked like a ring. Kind of.
Oh, Merciless Mikey.
It was a rectangle, I get it.
Looks like he's going for something like
Big wooden platform, but it resembled a ring better than what we ever had up to this point. Let's just say that.
You can tell he's a part of the Jackknife clan. He just ran the referee.
Wait.
Now he's attacking both men.
Very unprofessional to not have your shirt tucked. But to be fair, you were just 14 years old. I know. And the funny thing is, Wayne, I would get on the other kids. Tuck your shirt in. So most of the time, the refs, even when they're wearing shorts, I'd have them tuck the shirt in. And then I don't think I ever did tuck the damn thing in. Times I've ref.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Pot calling the kettle black, I guess you could say. Well, see, I was being fair.
Yep.
I let Mike get pinned. He was my partner.
The killer, Crappy Campa.
Little bias.
Okay, there you see
Little bias there.
Kind of a biased rendition of that, but all in all,
Rich called me out for it.
Call on the part of Crusher Crossen.
Apparently, Mike was in the ropes.
Hand was outside the ring area, and the hold should have been broken. But at any rate, your winner is Todd.
Yeah, King says, I think wrestling ropes back then were mainly fiber or steel cables. Well, yeah, remember NWA? You could always hear the cable inside the plastic tubing. So they were definitely cableized ropes there. And the AWA had those big honking, like, ship dock ropes, which I don't think there was I don't know if there was a cable in those. But if there was, it was in the middle, you know. Never could see it.
Yep.
Says the ropes you had back then looked like they had more give. Yeah, they were just a little too flexible. That's why when first thing I did when we went in the garage, I still had these posts and ropes that I used in the new ring we built in the garage. And the first thing I did is I got rid of the bungee cords and I drilled through the wooden posts and wasn't turnbuckles right, it was just eye bolts, just metal eye bolts.
Yeah.
And eventually we would get turnbuckles as well. But
Hello, folks.
then we could actually hit the ropes, which is cool.
Concerns none other than Jackknife Jacob, an extraordinary athlete.
So Newsflash was a segment we used to do on these Group W shows, just kind of a little news piece. We kind of showcase one of the wrestlers. One's Jackknife we're showcasing.
He does have some new faces on his team. But regardless, we'll find out soon to come. Next week,
those tube socks with the stripes, huh? Talk about 80s, huh?
the TWA's heavyweight champion.
And the half shirts.
The TWA's
I mean,
now back to the ring.
although I don't know if Rob's is a half shirt or just a shirt that's too small.
I don't know about you, Mike.
Because Rob is growing like a beanstalk in these days.
And fans, now it's time for the match you've all been waiting for. The main event. We have the title match with that body slam spectacular added into it, where the first man to body slam the other man gets $1,500. That's right, $1,500 in cold hard cash. Entering the ring at this time.
Now remember, a body slam in these days is pretty lighthearted. I mean, it's not like a full-blown body slam on that hard stage.
Yep.
So Wayne, did Todd's older brother Troy get involved with the NWF? So no, I knew Troy. I knew Troy before I knew Todd because obviously Troy was in my grade, and I knew Troy since Franklin Elementary School. So
yeah,
and but he didn't have any interest in where Todd was a wrestling fan. Troy really wasn't. So Troy didn't really have any interest to come on the show. You know, that's just it. You know, to be on our show, you really had to like wrestling. And Troy wasn't like a big wrestling fan like Todd was.
Right.
So that's the difference there. So Troy never had any involvement at all with the show. But I knew Troy. I knew Troy before I knew Todd, and I got introduced to Todd from Charlie Lane because Charlie, who started the show with me, was Todd's age, and I was Troy's age. So, but Troy was always cool with me. He never gave me shit about it or anything like that. Or Todd, he never gave us a hard time over it. Just didn't have any interest though. So as you can see, I had to take Eye of the Tiger out, but you still hear the lyrics a little bit. So that's why you couldn't hear me talking on the mic, because I had to take some of that out. So copyright issues. Now that we're monetized, we definitely can't have any copyright stuff going on.
He was stopped, and now
Exactly.
we're down to the studio where Merciless Mike Ackerman is gonna help me announce and your referee for this match, Todd Killer Campa.
Okay, Damien's got a good question on the drop kick. You haven't seen the double leg drop kick tonight? Do you remember when you first started using the drop kick? I did it in the bed mattress days only because I could, right? The mattresses, you could land on it, no problem.
It was easy landing.
Yeah. But as far as doing it from that point, like legitimately then, I do remember it's on one of these Group W cable shows. I'm trying to think when it happened. But I remember doing it, and I was so excited that I did it that I did it again. And again, I realized I could do a drop kick. Now, it wasn't pretty like I got eventually, but I was getting both my feet up and I was getting it off. And we'll come across that show one of these days, and I'll point it out, because you'll see me do it like almost twice in a row. I realized I could do it, so I did it again. You know. But yeah, it's like one of those light bulb moments where I finally realized I could do the drop kick, and it felt all right landing, even on this. And it was on this Group W cable ring. I remember that. You know, one of these shows coming up.
I don't know. I've wrestled him times before, and he's a fine wrestler along with the Jackknife.
Well, of course, Jackknife didn't get to be where he was title holder just by cheating alone.
I don't think it's this show. I mean, I'm trying to think. It might even be this show, but I don't think it was this show. This is how we go off the top rope, because you just couldn't stand on the damn ropes.
Jackknife to slam the Crusher, I must say, though.
Yeah, he could have just picked him right off the ropes.
I always clasp my arms together when I do that elbow drop in these days, I've noticed.
Jackknife is,
yeah,
I guess, the
messed up leg drop.
So far.
I'm not going to critique the wrestling. I know we're not that good here. What am I even trying?
Texas Brain
Buster.
It wasn't about the quality, it was about the heart, the drive, and the determination.
Exactly. Well put.
Ref is Todd Campa.
The Killer Campa, one of Jackknife's teammates, but along with the Crusher, he's promised a fair, clean bout, and I made sure of that.
And then once I got that drop kick, Damien, once I realized I got the taste of doing it like that, I kept doing it all the time. You know, and it just got better and better with it.
That's what he thinks.
It's my favorite move for sure.
Trying to stretch off his arm.
We're going to have a fun conversation. I don't know, Wayne, you missed the beginning. Ricky Henry made a little cameo again. Canary Kid, talking about next week. And we're going to have fun next week, so I'll go over it again at the end. But our theme's going to be a fun one. The what if.
Oh, yeah.
The what if deep dive. What if Pressure Crossen at 16 met the Canary Kid today in the ring? Well, how would it go? That'll be a fun conversation next week. Show some matches. We'll show a match of mine, a match of his. We'll do what we call a deep dive. Slide in and out of character. We're gonna have real fun with it.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Jackknife, of course.
You know, part of the reason I'm bringing Ricky on, you guys, and it was Ricky. Ricky came to me. He wanted to be the co-host. I think I told Dave this already, but Dave knows what I'm going to say. The reason I want him to be a part of that is because I want him to be able to network with all these people I'm bringing on forward, and him to be able to make some connections and get his personality out there and get his, you know, expose him some. you know? Get him some exposure. And
Well,
talking
we're
time.
also
The polo punch.
giving other kids exposure at the same time.
Yeah. And these other kids, like Smalls and these other guys, to have another kid their own age that's doing the same thing halfway around the world to be able to interact with, come on. That's awesome. That's awesome stuff.
I tell you, that'll do more damage.
Exactly.
It'll make forward a better show, I think.
Yeah, that's another one of the Crusher moves.
It won't be such talking heads. It'll be a little bit of fun factor, a little entertainment factor, a little bit of in and out of character, right?
The
rep is in his own.
And we'll get serious when we
That's the
need
game
to.
plan.
Yeah, we'll get serious on questions as well.
The rep would have been on top of it.
But that still would not have satisfied most of the audience, for they are looking for the body slam.
Yeah, looking for the body slam. Yeah, trying to say I don't have the brains here.
I think he might do the body slam.
Rob Jacob was a great guy. You know, I still feel bad of how we got rid of him.
Oh, he's got a bag.
Of course, I talk about it in the documentary in the book. That's Rob's bag.
Oh man,
That's his gym bag.
brutal. Boy, the Crusher taking on the Jackknife image here.
But no, how we got rid of Rob, man, that was wrong. We should have never done that. Not the way we did it.
Jackknife is starting to
Yep.
take over here.
Blows to the back. Those blows to the back, they hurt. They're painful. The back is a touchy area.
Ah, here's a new one.
And,
Brother B. God, can you read it,
he's
Dave?
keeping
Brother
an eye on this,
B. I. That the
watch
font is hard to
body
read.
slam.
I'm
B R
in
S.
all fairness and honesty, the
Contrast.
officiating has been very excellent.
It says, shout out to
Series of
everyone in the
matches.
chat,
There's
including
been some-
NWF Kids Pro Wrestling.
there's been
Keep up
maybe some
a good
emotional
work on the
ties
channel.
behind it, but
Appreciate
they've
it.
been
And
very
shout out
fair
from South
and
Bronx.
very good,
Brother
I must say.
BXL Contreras, aka Sports Entertainment Guy. Awesome. It's great to see new people.
Trained to
So not that we don't appreciate the regulars, but man, it's always good to see a new comment come in, and feel free to chat in anytime and comment.
throw in some of the wrestlers
We love taking comments, right, Dave?
for,
Bringing in questions and anything.
refs.
Thanks for
To me,
watching.
that's one of the best parts of the show
Up
is
here in Minnesota, I can see why they wouldn't be able to
Yeah,
put down those
absolutely.
videos.
Yeah.
Problems or
Yeah,
whatever
it's
might
fun to,
happen, but
you know, and some really good questions tonight, guys. You guys had some good ones. I was hoping we'd have some good ones, and when we get the regular gang in here,
It's just like popcorn and butter. It's always
usually they're good at coming up with some good questions.
Have a lot of fun
Like,
doing the show too.
You know, how we were treated in school and stuff, and did they laugh at us? And then, yeah, they did. You know, you got some of that. I imagine though, Wayne, like I think Wayne asked that. I imagine people. Well, let me tell you a story. I was quiet in school, and I've told this before, but I can remember being in. Well, this would have been a little bit later on in the show, like maybe another 6 months from this show. I was in math class, and I can remember two kids. One was on the wrestling team, one of these kids. The other one was just a friend of his, and they were talking in math class about describing how this match got out of control, and there was two refs, and this happened, then he did this. Here he's describing our show. I knew it because I just edited it and put it on cable. It just aired, so I knew it. It just all lined up. And he didn't know I was sitting behind him, and that I was part of that. That's how quiet I was in school. You know, but they were like, you know, they thought it was fun, and it was, you know, they were laughing, but they were laughing because it was fun. It was, you know, he was actually entertained with it, and he was telling the other kid about it. And the kid that was on the wrestling team was entertained with it, right? I don't remember his name. I remember him. But anyways,
They both had the belt before.
now I imagine other kids laughed at us behind our backs, right? In their own conversations or whatever. I think that goes without saying, you know, in these days. But there was also that, you know, people that thought it was cool, and then there was the people that thought it was cool but were afraid to admit it.
As you can see, we have
You know, afraid they'd get teased or say, you know, you know how kids are. They want to be popular, they want to be accepted, and they don't want to be the weird ones, right?
Jackknife now
So,
spread across the floor.
you know,
Thanks to
as you get older, you realize all this stuff,
like a
you
elbow
know.
smash or something. 30 seconds left in the match.
But
We we got some
Yeah.
officials in there to bring down the microphone.
Oh, it says,
The body
okay, it's a little bit more about
There was the
Brothers
body slam.
BR. Well, I thought it was BXL. That's an X, isn't it? Yeah, Brothers BXL.
I guess
Appreciate it.
we'll have to show
Appreciate it.
that
It's all
in
my
the
part
special
of
meeting.
sports entertainment family. As you know, I know everything in wrestling company between AEW, WWE, Ring of Honor,
3,
New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, and much more. Yeah, sounds like this guy knows what he's talking about, huh? It's
Yep.
always cool to have new viewers and stuff, and we appreciate you tuning in to us. We're, like I said, we're just watching the early stuff. We didn't know what the hell we were doing here. We get it, but it's our beginnings.
Someone got stopped this match.
And
I think the Crusher's
still
gonna
hard to
win.
believe that
Yes.
we would do an Anoka Armory event in about
We're the 1,500.
a little over a year from this point.
Never slamming. I never. Crusher is claiming that he didn't
Um,
slam him, and that is.
Let's see. Forward, Sky Sports Video News says, Forward is amazing. It's a great show. It's a great way for your listeners to be introduced to the up-and-coming wrestlers. I find myself looking up their fights and seeing them on the show. Yeah, I know. It was, Dave, how did we come up with the idea of Forward? I think it was when we had Subforce Arnie, right?
Yep.
That's where we got, at least I
Yeah, it
got the
was.
idea. I thought, why not make a whole show of this where we just showcase future people getting involved, getting trained the right way, all that kind of stuff. Starting out through the indie leagues and the training, having the opportunity that we never had in these days, wishing we did today, and really encouraging them to keep following their dreams and doing it the right way. One thing I will not do, and I kind of made a commitment, Dave knows this, I won't really showcase backyard wrestling on Forward. I want people to see the proper way to get trained,
We're here ringside right now,
and
with
doing it the
the
right way.
champion, Crusher Crossen,
And
who's just now
I don't think backyard's the
heat
way
of
to
the
go
battle.
anymore.
Crusher,
I think you should
what do
go
you
through
got
an
to say
indie
to the
fed and get
people
trained
out there?
right.
about you retaining the title in this body slam competition coming up with Jackknife.
Let's see, brothers.
Rich, you know it as well as I were. You were
BX,
ringside interviewing.
BXL
You
says,
seen me
hey, it's true.
slam
Besides
that
every bunch of
50
kids who
foot
love
jack
to entertain between wrestling styles,
You
that's why
seen
every
me
single
slam 'em.
kids who
And
could
I got this
trained
belt
and
I
show
made a
who they
request. I
became.
told him,
Yeah.
I can't
I mean,
slam
every
him.
kid's got this
He
in them,
had
right?
my TWA belt. He
I
checked
think
it
is
out
what
and
he's
gave me
saying.
back
When
the
you're a
belt.
kid,
First he took
should
the
you do
belt,
anything?
he
I know
checked
I
it
would.
out.
I'd do anything to be a
I'm
part of
upset.
wrestling back in these days. You would too, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Crusher, I can see you're upset,
Yep.
but you still got the belt, so you shouldn't have too much to
Oh,
be
my
upset about.
promos, man. Ugh, I
have
hate
a
watching
feeling
this.
Jackknife Jacobs got something in store for you down the road.
See all that Hogan
He comes
influence
in
on
here,
me.
He always has something in store, so some sort or another. He said he had his ultimate plan that he's gonna be against us. Well, looks like that was a backfire. Day in and day out, as I've been around here in the TWA, he's been one thing wrong.
Yeah, this is
and
definitely
that's
Hogan
this.
influence,
Not
Dave.
the fact about the body slam, not the fact
Yep.
that he was the former champion, but the fact that he tried to put everybody against me in the Merciless. I was upset.
Could use a little bit better
What did I
camera
do?
operator
I
here.
got a few phone calls, and everything's been going against Jackknife, and I love it, except on the behalf of Peterson. I don't care for Peterson at all. That Brian Peterson.
I was speaking the truth there, guys. Brian, his debut on Show 25, he got under my skin right out of the gate. That wasn't a promo, that was real talk there.
No, I don't. I don't know where he's been. But to tell you
Let's
the truth,
see.
Merciless is one
What did
half
Wayne
tag
say
team
here? I wanna
champion
get
along with
caught
Derek
up on the
Madman
comments. He
Nash,
says,
who couldn't make it today.
I
But
thought it
just
was
got
cool, but
notified
really
that we're gonna
didn't
start
talk
a tag
about
team
pro
match.
wrestling at school.
So if you
Yeah,
wanna go in the
because
ring,
not everybody was a wrestling fan, from what I remember. And so it's not like like wrestling really boomed. I mean, it was booming in the 80s, but it really as far as kids and school and stuff, it really became pretty popular later on.
Extension of the elbow in one of his matches.
Yep.
And he's still out.
And then King Coop says, "These promos back in the day, yikes." Yep, I know. We could have been better. He definitely could have been better.
In the audience said he suffered a knee injury at the same time, so he's still recuperating.
So Wayne, yeah, TWA.
Comeback trail to the TWA. Right now we have a tag team match.
That was the name of the league, Twin Cities Wrestling Association. We didn't become NWF until show 31, or no, show 33. So early January of '85. Another couple months from this show, we would turn into NWF.
Yeah.
Interesting fact about TWA, we used TWA for, I don't know, 6 months. We were all over the Metro and all the cable companies, and Group W Cable got notified by Trans World Airlines requesting us to not call ourselves TWA. So we were asked to change that, and so I think it was the next show or the show after this, we start calling ourselves Twin Cities Wrestling Federation, TWF. And that was just because Group W Cable said they got a call from the airline that they would prefer that we don't use TWA because it's a trademark for them.
Yeah.
Interesting, huh?
Very much so.
I imagine they didn't want to do any kind of formal... They knew it was a public access show, so they're just being nice and saying, please stop using the name. You know, they were cool about it. Yeah, anytime you hear that, it's replacing Eye of the Tiger. So this is like, if you've noticed this show, we were limited on wrestlers. It was just the 4 of us. We had to do a whole show with the 4 of us and Rich Taylor. It's one of the few shows where we only had a handful of kids. Most of the time we had at least a dozen, if not more.
Yep, by the time I joined, that was the case.
Yeah. Yeah, you're still good, Dave.
Okay.
So this is like a it's a tag team match. I don't know if it was Texas Tornado rules or not. No, I think we're tagging. But this match is a big build-up for the rest of the next couple shows, because what happens in this match is Jackknife Jacob puts Merciless Mike out of action in this match. And I'm saying it now so you can watch for it. You'll see what happens. It's all kind of a optical illusion with the camera. The fact that we kind of took advantage of the camera, the fact that you can't really see. Even though we weren't crisp or, wrestling technique wasn't clean, we still were planning out angles. We called them rivalries. That was the word we always used. We're going to get into a rivalry with this guy. That was just the word we used, but it's really, in today's terminology, it was an angle. You're going to get into an angle with this guy, right?
Yep.
So that's Mike's just working it up to it, and I'm not paying attention, and Mike's gonna get hurt here in this match at the end. Rich Taylor, I don't know what he's doing, but he'll eventually come in on commentating. We're almost to the end of the show, guys. I think we only got about 9 minutes left or so of this one. Telling him I let you in the bag, it's not going to hurt. Campa was always a nervous Nelly when it came to stuff like the chair. I had to remind him.
Well, I've been just informed.
It's gimmicked, it's worked.
Yeah.
Technical difficulties.
There'd be times in a match I'd have with Campa where I'd start doing the Hulk up comeback thing. And Todd would get so intimidated with me doing this. I can remember Todd telling me in the ring, he whispered to me, take it easy, because he's seeing me getting more and more intense,
Yo.
when it's the Crusher.
Yeah, Campa was a good guy.
Getting nailed outside with a chair, but now he's stopping the Killer Campa. Crusher on his knees. Well, the only time I've seen the Crusher on his knees, Crusher doesn't get on his knees for nobody. But up in the ring in the meantime, Jackknife Jacob.
Yeah, we shouldn't even mess these chairs.
Hot and heavy.
The only person who hit you with the chair pretty dang good and hard was Brian Peterson. You got hit by him, you got hit. We shouldn't even be doing this. We're not hitting hard enough with this to even make it effective. There I go again. 2020 hindsight, right?
Been adversaries for some time now.
But yeah, Brian.
If in fact,
watch when we get into the Brian Peterson days, when he would get a chair, he would swing it and hit you pretty good and hard. I can remember getting a couple goose eggs from Brian.
Each and every one of them.
From the chair.
There you see now, still in the ring. Merciless Mike Ackerman, and Jackknife Jacob. Merciless Mike's getting quite a working over right now by the Jackknife. And outside, the same thing's happening to Crusher.
Well, at least we got Rich Taylor back to commentate.
I don't know what's going on here. That's a new twist for the Crusher.
Yep.
Too many people don't get on the best.
You know, Rich was a really big guy, Rich Taylor.
And had the belt for a long time now.
Yeah.
You know, like he was like a couple years older than me. He was in 11th grade where I was in 9th.
And they're both.
And but he's super tall.
Just kind of waiting for somebody
and
to hit him, you know?
when we first went to the garage, Rich Taylor was driving by the neighborhood and he pulled in, made a surprise. I hadn't seen him for several shows, and he said wanted to see how the ring was coming along that we were building because he heard we were building a ring. And I remember Rich got in the ring in the garage and his head was like just inches from the ceiling. He's like, Sean, goes, I can't announce in this ring. I'm going to hit my head on the ceiling. I remember him telling me that.
Name error I might make or any misjudgment.
Talking about Rich Taylor, the commentator.
In the program. We're into the tag team match right now, and it's Crusher Crossen is officially in the ring with Killer Campa. And Mike Merciless kind of rolled out of the ring, and he's laying there. There you see Crusher.
Yeah, TWA. So this is that board. This is a foreign object that Rob uses from here on out.
But it just comes naturally to my mind when I think of Jackknife Jacob. And there you see Killer Campa.
Now Merciless Mike's outside the ring.
And outside of the ring, Jackknife Jacob is doing the same to Merciless Mike Ackerman. And boy, these guys are in a war.
And I'm pretty oblivious to all of this.
Something's going to have to be done about this. Even if it means I myself going in there and stopping this one. Because
yeah, this match is out of control.
Like this happened in the TWA. Actions such as this are uncalled for. They are really uncalled for. All that happens is unnecessary hurt. And people get injured, who shouldn't be injured. People like
yeah, sports video. All these things were TV tapings. At this point, though, the show was only being broadcast in the Metro, so we were only sending it out to all the cable outlets around the Twin Cities. We hadn't went national yet with anything. It was show 32, our last TWF show. It was the first show that went nationwide. You know, to all the different states. And then the next show, 33, is where we changed it to NWF. And
oh my word!
And I think I told you the story about the cease and desist I got for using NWF.
Yeah.
Back when I wrote my book and I put the website up for the first time. Yeah, whoever owned the National Wrestling Federation tried to give me a cease and desist, and I looked at their copyright or their trademark, and I realized that we were doing NWF before their trademark. And then I looked into it, and I found that I could challenge their trademark and get the whole thing reversed. Just so you know, when somebody makes a trademark, if you can prove that you used the name before them, you can literally overturn their trademark. So now the outfit that started National Wrestling Federation in the 70s had already let the trademark expire. This was a new company in the 80s. They did it in 86. They trademarked NWF. Well, we were using NWF in 85. And I showed him the proof of this. And I said, now, I've already talked to my attorneys, and they said this can be overturned pretty easily. I said, I'm not really interested in doing that. You can keep using the name. I'll keep using the name. There are two different products here. I don't think it's going to be an issue. I'm fine to just let it be. But if you push this, I will challenge it. And I never heard from that outfit again.
Okay, folks, I've just gotten word that Merciless Mike Ackerman is seriously
So
injured.
that was kind of funny,
He might have
interesting
to go to the
little
hospital.
tidbit.
He's laying outside the ring, and back in comes Jackknife Jacob. Where he went to, who knows?
So brothers,
saying we're running out of time.
BXL.
Yeah.
So fellas, when I look at those entertainment between kids, since how long do you ever create TWA with those kids? Well, the TW, this was all done 1984, November 16th is the date of this show. So this was all done a long time ago. We did TWA only lasted from the early days of '84 for maybe about, I don't know, a dozen shows.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's get some help from Merciless Mike Ackerman.
Yeah, I end up getting pinned.
We are the champs. We're gonna get them guys. Yeah, just wait. One of us two is gonna.
Yeah, King Coop. It was. At first, I didn't know what to do. You know, like how do I react to this? So I just started looking into it and understanding the rules. And King Coop was saying the whole lawsuit thing was interesting. I mean, I'm glad you had the proof. Imagine if you didn't have the proof. And the proof was easy. I had videotapes. I had newspaper articles. So it wasn't hard to prove that part, and I think he realized this, and then he probably looked into it himself and realized that he could lose his trademark, so he decided to just say, okay, I'm not going to push this. But yeah.
But let me tell you.
Yeah, I mean, what was he going to say? You know, stop doing it or else? Well, if he pushed it, I had enough money at the time where I could have strummed up enough to get an attorney to do the paperwork for me and challenge it. So.
Yep. And once again, it would have been over quick.
Yep. So special announcement. This is a type up. Immediately following that brutal match, Merciless Mike Ackerman was rushed to Mercy Medical Center. Wayne knows where that is, if we're spelling it right. On account of the damage put on by Jackknife Jacob. This is 14-year-olds typing, guys. So due to the outcome of the match you've just seen, come next week, Crossen will have his no disqualification match with the Jackknife. So we're just building up to that angle. At least as kids, we had enough, we were trying to make angles and make scenarios and stuff like that. So.
Yep.
Now this is just the ending.
And we were doing character building and.
Yep.
TWA, the Twin Cities Professional Wrestling Association. Your producer was Sean Crossen, and co-producer
Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah, Brothers Big excited. No, he just. It's the way we were back. I wish we had a little bit more. We always look at this with 2020 hindsight vision and say, oh, we just wish we would have done this better. We would have done that better. November 16th, actually, 1984. W Cable. Oh, we're on the wrong screen. We're back from last week. So yeah, that was Studio Taping 26. That's on the Video Network now. Oh, you know what? I forgot to do it again, guys. I got to run our... sorry, guys. This is what's going on the Video Network on this October 1st. I'm going to run this for you guys. I forgot to run. I usually do this at the beginning. Sorry, folks. Let's run that now. Gosh, Dave, you got to remind me of that. All right.
I know, but I've told you about what happened today, and
no, I know, but I'm just saying I always forget. But yeah, this is what's going on the Video Network October 1st. This is going to be the next one that's coming up. Here it is.
Yeah.
Well, Kelsey, how do you feel about this newcomer Mr. X versus a very old wrestler?
Young wrestler and to do the job.
Did you get the time?
That was not an official pin.
That was not
Tuffer
an
got
official pin.
his shoulder came up.
He's a 10 seconds. Got him down.
Thinking that you were the winner, and then just finding out that the committee has decided against it.
Merciless.
Well, hey, that's no big deal, Sean. I got a big surprise for you next week, and everybody in NWF, and we'll see.
That's why Crusher was calling Madman a traitor. We have we have a half a minute left. We have another match going on in the ring. Oh, Camp comes over and puts a cheap shot to Superfly. Grabbing. Oh, he reaches them. Airplane spin, and he does. Oh, he knocks the ref out. And the ref is out. Crusher, someday I'll repay you because you are a traitor. He puts him in a sleeper. Submit. No, he does not. Why do you doubt it? You're on our side. You should know. Well, all I saw was you and Nash won't want to come out for when me and Crusher, the Rock and Roll Express, go after the tag team belt. And we are. There's 2.5 minutes left in this match, and now Ace has the ropes. Man. Think about the Super D's. You think they're stupid. Why should they get more? You don't get anything. It doesn't make sense. You see,
Now why? I want the belts. I want the belts. Hand me the belts. Me and Kelsey deserve them. And wait for you. Oh, Kelsey, think about this NWF. You know, it's the most exciting kids wrestling there is in the country. You agree with that?
Yeah.
Don't sound too excited about it.
Oh, I shouldn't. I had it shot except for.
I'll agree with that, Rich.
Ah, come on, Super X.
Studio taping 39. Next up on the network. That was the second show on the Garage Studios, and not the debut of Mr. X, but the return of Tougher Chris Daniels. Tougher Daniels was one of our originals back in the basement days, and he came back to the garage on that show. So that was like the return of one of our original wrestlers.
Yep.
Chris Daniels. Let's see. Wayne was saying anyone watching at the time would know Mercy Hospital, as this was only shown locally, right, Crusher? Yeah, it was local to the metro. So maybe people.
And it was right down the road from Group W.
It was. So people in Anoka for sure in that area. But, you know, when we were like down in Edina and Richfield, I don't know if kids watching would know where that is, but, you know, in the southern metro. But yeah, I mean, because at this point, on that particular show that we watched, it was aired all over the metro, the Twin Cities, but not national yet. Like I said, the national stuff, I didn't start doing that until it was about 3 months or so from this point. And then I kept doing it. You know, it was very easy. Once I got the time slot set up, I could just keep sending the cable companies tapes. So they would get the tapes, they'd play them, they'd send them back. I'd then use these same tapes to keep putting, you know, dubbing shows and sending out the next batch. And it's like a revolving door with those tapes. Eventually, those tapes got recorded over so many times with, you know, copies of shows, but it worked.
Yep.
Yeah. But but yeah, that was a fun show. Now, if you guys missed it at the beginning, I'm going to show you guys again. Next week, we're going to have NWF Forward, the debut of the Canary Kid with me finally. He's making his debut as my co-host on Forward. And that's going to be, let me get that comment out of there. Sorry. Got to find it here. There we go. So you can see the time. Thursday, September 26th, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Keep take note of that time, guys, because it's a little earlier because of Canary. Doesn't mean Rewind's going to go at 5 p.m. This is just for the forward shows.
Rewind will be its usual time.
Yeah, Rewind will still be at this time that we did tonight. But the forward shows going forward will be at this new time to help accommodate Ricky, the Canary Kid. And our theme is going to be a fun one. The theme that we're going to have for this show, obviously we're going to talk about the new format, what we're going to do and everything, but our theme is going to be, what if Crusher Crossen from 1986 faced off with the Canary Kid present day? And this is going to be a fun one, guys. Ricky and I will be sliding in and out of character on this. We're going to show one of my matches, one of his matches, and we're going to what if deep dive. That's what we're calling it, the what if deep dive. And what a fun show that'll be. Looking forward to it. So that's what's coming up in a week, everybody. And like I said, I'm looking forward to it. Let's see. Damien says, Dave, do you know when the next show you will be in?
I do not. I allow Crusher to pick the shows as he chooses.
Yeah.
And I just ride along with it.
We're basically, the way I do these restored shows is I kind of cycle through each phase. So like we did a Group W show. The next show we're going to do is going to be a garage show. The next one after that will be a Fred Moore show. The next one after that will be an outdoor taping. That will be the next one Dave's on, because you're on that one, show 70.
Oh, okay.
And then the next one after that is I think it's the Pole Barn in Dayton show.
Yep.
And then we do a dry dock show. And we also might slip in the October 18th Armory card when we get into October. I'm not sure. I think that it might be where we do that one too.
Yep.
Because I know Dave requested that we do that one if we can for October. That's his favorite. So that would be the next one Dave would be on again.
It's not just that it's my favorite. It's the best DVD that we have because it was a sellout.
Yeah, 450 fans, give or take, were piled into the Anoka Armory for that event. A very proud moment for us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My first Armory event, and it was a sellout.
Yeah, big crowds like that. And I'll never forget Jason on that show being just a nervous wreck because we had one fan came up and said, I thought this was going to be All-Star Wrestling from the AWA. I said, no, it's not. And we haven't even started yet. But he got the program guide and he realized what he's seeing, right? And I said, no, it's not. I said, if you're, he had biked to the Armory. He was a local. I said, look, if you're upset about it, we'd gladly give you a refund. You can go home. You don't have to be here. If you don't want to. He goes, no, I'll stay for it. He just wanted to complain, right? He's one of those guys. But, even though I had adults running the ticket counter, they didn't know how to handle this guy. They got me. So I have the parents coming and say, hey, Sean, you got somebody that wants to talk to who's organizing this. So they got me. You think they could just take care of it, right?
You'd think, but
yeah. So anyways, that word got to Jason, and Jason was just a nervous Nelly. And he's like, I can remember Jason saying point blank, I don't want to even go out there. They're going to start chucking things at me and throwing things at me because they think it's AWA. I'm going to get like booed right out of the arena. I don't want to do it. I said, Jason, I said, calm down. So that was one fan. I said, and then I'm the one who gave him the idea. I said, Jason, just get this off your chest because you're never going to get through this night if you don't. I say, welcome to NWF Junior Professional Wrestling. I specifically told him to do it like that. And then let the fans react and get over this because I knew how they were going to react. I was confident. He wasn't.
Yep.
And you seen the big cheer he got when he did. So, look, all those people knew what they were getting into there. There wasn't a surprise. You had a few people that might have been misled, like that one guy, but for the most part, everybody knew what they were attending. So
exactly.
But yeah, it's been a good show. I guess we're kind of at the end of it, guys. Dave kind of got a lot going on. I know he can't stick around too long tonight, so.
Yeah, I apologize, people. Maybe in a couple weeks I'll discuss what happened.
Yeah, just personal stuff.
we sometimes let you guys behind the curtain more into our personal lives, but at this point, I'm just going to kind of... Crusher knows what's going on. He understands.
And I want to remind everybody again before we sign off. I want to thank again our members that joined. King Coop, you're one of them.
Yep.
You know, our base membership is just $2.99 a month. It helps support us. We appreciate that. But I'm not the kind of
beg you to join.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that. But I'm just letting you guys know we do have these memberships. And what the cool part is, if you do the championship one, because I like to give some things that are more meaningful. So if you do the championship membership that we got, you get access to all the Video Network videos. So you can see what we just watched in true 1080p right here on YouTube if you're in that membership. So, you know, I just want people to get something for it. You know, that's something, you know, that they get out of it a little bit better, you know.
And, you know, to be honest, I'm going to pull back the curtain for a second. If you join, no matter what level you join, that money doesn't go in my pocket. It doesn't go in Crusher's pocket.
No.
It goes to help pay for upgrading these shows, having our show on YouTube.
Streaming.
Yep.
You know, we have to pay a couple $100 for the streaming software we use every year. We have to, it's the other big expense. Well, the restoration, obviously. And then it costs money to get all this stuff up on Vimeo. And there's expenses behind the scenes.
Yep.
All the Hall of Fame stuff we put into and everything. But I'm perfectly fine paying for it like I did. But when we do get a little bit of money and come in, it helps support that kind of stuff. So it's nice.
Exactly.
You know, I'm not like, you can do super chats and all that kind of stuff too. I never mention it because it's like I get to every comment whether you super chat or not. So I don't need super chats.
We're not. If you do a super chat, great. If you don't, not a big deal.
Yeah.
We try to respond to every comment.
Yep. It's been great though. It's great to see our new viewer here with us tonight too. I hope you come back again, brothers. Was it BXL? I think brothers BX, so. Brother BXL. Yeah, come back and join us again. You just missed our. We were saying like this is our early days. You know, this is like the beginnings. We were really rough.
Yeah,
wrestling rise and stuff. We just weren't polished. But we had just did a show last Rewind where we were at the pinnacle at the end of it, where we were polished, and what a difference. You know, wrestling techniques and, you know, quality. So
what a difference 3 years makes.
Let me just say this. I want to make this clear. And I don't want people to get the wrong impression. I'm not embarrassed by what we did at all. You have to be in this to understand, but I'm just so proud of what we became that it's sometimes hard for me to watch the beginning of where we were. But I love the memories. I love watching it because it brings me back to that time, and it was a great time as a kid, you know. And so I wouldn't trade it for anything. And the friendships we made that we had as kids back then, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Exactly.
Nothing. And this is something that you all can relate with. This is like our youth. And no matter if we're in the show or not, like Dave and I are talking about because we were on the show, but you know, just think of your friends you had back when you're growing up. It's the same memories. It's the same connections. You guys all made it too. You know, we're just fortunate to have it documented, right? You know, on video. So.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I think we're hitting the end of the show. I want to thank everybody again for tuning in.
Thank you for joining us.
Remember, go ahead, Dave. No, go ahead.
I'll let you go.
I was going to say, remember, 1 week from today, it's the Canary Kid, my new co-host on NWF, and you're going to love the little promo we put. We got a little promo coming out. I think I'll put it up tomorrow on YouTube. Watch for that. And it's a fun promo. Look for the Canary Kid to be in character on that promo, guys. It's a good one. And we're going to have a great show next week on Forward. It's a little earlier, remember. We'll be coming on a little earlier, though. 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific next week.
All right. And I will see you in 2 weeks.
Sounds good, everybody. I just got to find our credits. There we go. We'll see you guys. Dave, we'll see you in 2 weeks. And we'll see everybody else next week with the Canary Kid from Northern Ireland on
Yep.
NWF Forward.